This is Wake Up and Lead, a daily podcast where ambitious young professionals learn to lead themselves. I'm your host, Hampton Dorch. Here I'm going to be sharing my findings from my episode with Mr. Pete Durand. This guy's sick. He's in his 50s. He's in amazing shape. He's done amazing stuff from like a business standpoint. He's got kids that are thriving. He's got grandkids. So love this guy. I know him from LinkedIn. We've known each other for a few years now. And, one of the first things he said that I loved is he knew he wanted to run a business one day. So what did he do? He tried everything. He did marketing, engineering, operations, sales. And because of that, he didn't necessarily become an expert in all of those things, but he learned enough to be dangerous. And that made him know how to run a business a lot better because now he's hiring those people and he knows like enough to understand their world. So I think for you, if you have aspirations to be an entrepreneur, to start a business one day, don't just completely randomize your career, but at the same time, ask yourself the question, how can I learn new things? Always be learning new things, and it'll make you a lot more valuable from a professional standpoint. If you're wanting to like run a business, I love that he said that. He clearly was thinking about his future early on from like a family standpoint. And this is really for parenting. But like he talked about how your kids are watching. So all of his kids played D1 sports and were incredible athletes. And I'm sure a huge part of that was because his kids, they saw him working his tail off. This guy is like super fit and he works out all the time. So his kids were able to see that. And I'm sure that transferred into them working really hard too. I know a lot of parents that are super out of shape and try to motivate their kids to play sports. Like, why would they do that if they didn't see you doing it? So more is caught than taught is what I learned from there. Another fitness thing, he said, if you're not a morning person, I think it's time to be one. I love that. My pride is just on fire from that because I'm a morning person. But the real question is, I say this all the time, if you are not a morning person, what are you doing from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.? And I bet you're watching TV. If you get up at 5 a.m., you're probably not going to watch TV. Now, like Pete said, if you're working out late at night and being productive and do the things that are leading you towards your goals, keep doing your thing. But for most people, they're going to get a lot more done and feel a lot better about their lives and feel a lot better going into the day if they get up in the morning and do some kind of fitness. I think that everyone can, I won't say should, but can be a morning person. When it comes to like a family/faith perspective, it was simple. I said, what's been good about your life from like a faith standpoint? He said, I married the right woman and we kept God at the center. And that second line is we kept God at the center. I think, and this could be a hot take here. Obviously, when you marry someone, you choose to spend the rest of your life with them. Sure, you probably want to have a few things in common, obviously similar values, and be attracted to each other. But I think if you keep God at the center, like if two of you are truly like in Christ and you're following God, I think you could be married to a lot of different people. And I know that might, completely make you want to stop listening to this podcast because you want to believe that you have like this perfect soulmate. And while I believe God's sovereign and in control and knows exactly who you're going to be married to, I think in our society, we put way too much weight on finding that perfect person instead of realizing that there is no perfect person except Jesus. And we take our eyes off him and put it on another person. And then it leads to a failed relationship because you're trying to make that person your God. Rant. But I think it's true. If you keep God at the center and run towards him and look to your side and see a partner, I think there's a lot more people you could be married to than just one. Now, let me be very clear. Erica would agree with me here. We talk about this. We are very happy that we are married to each other, and I wouldn't want to be married to anyone else. But I think the principle I'm just trying to share is that like it's bigger than just that relationship you're in. If you make it all about God, then everything else will fall into place. Now, if you alone are doing that, that would be called missionary dating. And I highly recommend you not doing that because then you're going to be leaning on God, but they're going to be leaning on you and trying to make you God. And you're not able to be God because you're sinful and not perfect. So me and Pete didn't totally get into that, but that's something that I'm pretty passionate about. What I love about Pete is he's extremely successful from a business standpoint. But if you look at his family, they're doing great too. He's got a bunch of kids that are really smart and played sports in college, and he's a granddad now, and he's just doing his thing. And so I think that he found a way to absolutely crush it in business, but not sacrifice his family. And the last thing that I'll end on here is I think if you look at these different domains, faith, family, fitness, fellowship, future, think about it. Faith, he kept God at the center of his marriage. He spends an hour every morning praying. So faith. And then family. This guy is like really intentional about his marriage, about his kids, about his grandkids. Fellowship. He said he's got people, 4 to 5 couples in his life that he would feel comfortable with those people raising his kids. So he's been intentional about the people he surrounds himself with. Fitness, obviously, I went out of order here, but like this guy is super fit. Just look him up. He's a beast. And then future, he was thinking about his future, and he is as well. And so this is somebody that's 55 years old. So he's, 30 years older than me, got all the energy in the world. And I think he's someone that a lot of us can learn from. I certainly do. I've talked to him multiple times and just look up to this guy a lot. So hope you enjoy learning from Pete Durand. It's time for you and me to wake up and lead.